good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. If you're watching live, thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for being there. Either way, please do plan to drop comments and questions into the chat. We go back down the road and check to see if anybody dropped questions if you're watching it on the replay. My name is Ann Murphy. I am the CEO and founder of Empowered Fundraiser Consulting, Coaching, and now Responsible AI. And I'm a member of Light Magic AI, along with Josh Houston, Tyler Fisk, Hunter Canning, Sarah Davison, and Michael Schmidt. I have Tyler and Josh here today to talk about some of the most, it's like, we refer to them sometimes as the most boring use cases that we can implement in nonprofit sector and other clients, because it's really easy to get sucked into some of the sexiest things that AI can do, right? Like, can we make a full-blown motion picture feature film with AI? We totally could, absolutely. Does a single nonprofit desperately need that right now? No. What they need is ways to be productive and ways to be strategic, and AI can help with that. So we really focus on some of those things that go right for the pain points and that really allow us to level up. I wanted to share just a couple of little statistics, and then we're going to kick it right into use cases so that this is as practical as it can possibly be. So friends of mine, Evan Wildstein and Michelle Vrin, just published a study. It goes by SISR, and it's about nonprofit staff retention in the US. And the statistic that absolutely stopped me in my tracks is that 76.2 nonprofit staff members are either in a current job search or will be in the next year. The turnover rate is so high, and in part because of overwork. And we're not the people who are going to sit here and say that AI productivity tools are the answer to all of your problems, because they are not. It's the people, process, and culture that can shift because we use AI. But that, there, to me, my point of view is that there's no point in talking about donor retention if you don't have staff retention, because if you don't have staff, you don't have donors. Obviously, we are all freaking out about the donor retention rate, which is 42.6% this year. It's terrifying. But again, right, there are two big issues here, but the staff one is so important, and to me really precedes the donor retention problem. So we at Light Magic, we took all of the pain points and all the opportunities that we know about in our work with the nonprofit sector and things that we've learned from industry as well. And we boiled it all down to what are the few, maybe 5, 7, 10 opportunities to use AI and automation in your nonprofit to alleviate some of the staff and donor retention issues. And we came up with some bangers, and we put them all together into one little package. It's the AI Empowered. It has a long name. We're going to workshop the branding. Bear with us. That's Josh's specialty. AI Empowered Fundraising Bundle, Nonprofit Bundle, something like that. And I'm going to have Josh introduce himself and dive in with a couple of the productivity related use cases, unless either one of you want to help me set the stage for this, because I might have forgotten something.
Yeah. Happy to set the stage just a bit, because the concept of boring versus sexy AI solutions is one that we talk about a lot, but to flesh that out, the sexy solutions that people jump to most, that's the first thing you see when you think AI. Oh, it's a chatbot on the website. Oh, it's going to be some sort of AI powered content engine in the back that's doing all this content work for me now. It's all these what if it could do video? What if I could do calling? What if I could do, those are really fun and exciting, emerging technology components. But they sometimes miss the mark. And so what we've focused on with the boring side of things is we don't want to install AI solutions. We don't want to install technology that replaces the human in the loop and the moments where you could reinforce your brand, where you could go and connect with someone at an extra layer, where you could take the extra moment to send that email and request or hop on another call. Those are the moments that build the brand. And in terms of like bandwidth and employee retention, those are the things that go when you get busy, when you get stuck in the admin, when you get stuck in the busy work, when you get stuck behind the scenes. Those are the things that start to fall off. And in a nonprofit, if that's the thing that actually increases your donor retention, you want to keep doing that. So there is this two-sided equation of like, we don't want staff to become so overwhelmed that they literally need to move jobs or change out of the nonprofit sector. We want them to feel alleviated, and the solutions that we're going to talk through kind of are to those points of these administrative, tedious, yet strategic and productivity related components. But boring is the name of the game when we're looking at good AI solutions that last. It's the things that happen behind the scenes that don't interrupt the relationship building process, that don't reduce our ability to connect with people. And I think that's the strategy here to help on all these levels. So one of the things I'll just overview 5 of the solutions we're going to talk through, and then Tyler and I will do a little bit of show and tell on the tech side to just teaser some solutions that we've built. So there's welcome sequences. What happens when you get a new donor? There's all these little checklist items that need to happen, and there's all sorts of opportunity inside of the donor welcome process that could be assisted with AI. Not to replace the human in the loop, but to give them the time and space to go and do the right parts of the process to connect with people. There's donor segmentation and personalized engagement. So instead of just focusing on sending blanket emails to everybody or blanket communication, you can use and leverage AI to start to customize and tailor the situation a little bit more to reinforce that relationship. And that's a combination of research plus, good copywriting in the background and good partnership and collaboration with the team. There's all the details and processes around event invitations and following up from events. Raising funds and maintaining donor relationships often happens around events. So there's all sorts of administrative tasks that go into the invitation process. And then to capitalize on those moments that you had in those events, there's a follow-up sequence that every nonprofit should be going through. And so we're looking at different pain points within those administrative and tedious processes to allow the staff once again to reinforce the relationships with donors and not get bogged down in the tedium. And then number 4, we're looking at donation acknowledgement. So saying thank you and impact reporting. So not only thank you for the support, but here's what we're doing. Here's the good that we are up to. And this is one of those things that's like every nonprofit needs to be doing. Some do them really well, and doing them really well takes a lot of time, a lot of intention, and a lot of care, because you want to individually connect with people. You want them to know how their contribution is helping contribute to the good that you do. So there's all sorts of things inside of that process where you could do some, summarization, you could do some customization, you could do personalization with AI components to alleviate some of the administrative pieces of that process. And then follow-up sequences to help address lapsed donors. Donors, like Ann said, have a high turnover rate, especially now more than ever. And so re-engaging those donors who have lapsed is something that every nonprofit should be doing, reaching out, trying to continue to invest in the relationships. And how are you going to do that if you're bogged down with everything that goes into personalization and all the little tedious components? So re-engaging lapsed donors is one of the other pain points that we think is very important to include in this bundle. So those are 5 areas. We're going to deep dive into a couple. Tyler, do you want to intro the solution that you're going to look into and share with us?
Yeah, I can do that. Actually, if you want to show off the respell thing, I'm actually in the middle of like having it run as we speak,
Awesome.
and then we can switch back over to it. Yeah,
very cool.
And by the way, let me chime in and say how real world this is, because, for example, let's say you're preparing to go to a donor visit and you've been doing 80 million bajillion things to prepare for the visit. like finding out, is the restaurant open? Do they have gluten-free food? Do, all the bajillion of things. And sometimes what happens is we forget about the fact that we're entering into a really meaningful, thoughtful, intentional conversation. And we end up needing to do that research at the last second. I heard this quote the other day that really made me think about how grounded we need to be going into a donor visit and how important it is as a result that our research is easy and accurate. And the quote was, I'm going to botch it, but it was something about when you're entering into a meaningful conversation, you remove your metaphorical shoes, knowing that you are stepping into somebody's soul. And obviously that's a lot for just, I would understand that these are jobs that we're doing. But if in the last minute, while you're doing 15 other things, you can, like Tyler's doing, also pull really important information about that donor, or, what they might ask you, what their objections might be. Like, this is real. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in, outside around the corner from my donor visit going, oh my God, I forgot to figure out, what they're So this is perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's what it's running now. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen and we can just look at this and see where we're at here. I believe it should be this one. Let me double check here. There we go. Okay. So let's say that we are going to be meeting with Miss Ann Murphy, who happens to be a donor from Empowered Fundraiser. So we're just using this as an example. Like, essentially all we would need to do, and this could happen automatically. So as soon as someone has a meeting that's on your calendar, we could go ahead and extract the company name from that. We can go find their LinkedIn profile. We can find their company's profile and their company website. And from that, it will go out onto the internet and scrape all the information from all that. So when I say scrape, I mean, it's going to go read all the information from Ann's LinkedIn profile. It's going to read her website. It's going to read her company's profile, and it's going to do an internet search on all those things, and then come back and give me like a summarized report on that. And this can be customized and tailored to what your needs are and how you would want it to work. Because in this specific example, it's actually doing a SWOT analysis, because we use this same sort of workflow for normal business use cases too when we're meeting with folks for discovery calls. But this might be, like, to Ann's point, giving you questions that you should be asking about their gifts that they've done in the past, what sort of nonprofits they like working with, just giving you that background information so you walk into the meeting like feeling really prepared. So let me switch pages so I can scroll down over here. So you can see, like, it's searched the company information, scraped their website. It tells us the industry of it. It's generated a SWOT analysis here. So for Ann, you can see that she has expert leadership as one of her strengths, comprehensive services, industry networking, resources and training, innovation and fundraising. Weaknesses, I can't believe it didn't say none, but maybe it's like drinks too many beverages at once. Like, that's what we all have, like with multi-beverage generation here. Let's see here. So limited awareness, dependence.
Ooh, dependence on leadership. True.
Niche focus, but come on, like, the rich are in the niches there. Like, everybody knows. Let's see here. Scalability challenges. Oh, because it's talking about consulting services. So it's like on her individual capacity. So, like, this is like really kind of a more generic SWOT analysis here, but it's given her opportunities. So growing demand for professional development, sector growth, digital transformation, her partnerships and collaborations, and then the threats here. And then it's coming down, it's scraped Empowered Fundraisers profile. So this could be your donor's nonprofit that they work with, or if they have a company that you're trying to find out information about them. So it's a really TLDR version of everything you need to know about them. It could have, if you have multiple team members that are going to be on the call, you could have this for each person that's going to be there. So right here, it's a really condensed biography about Ann, saying she's the CEO of Empowered Fundraiser, presents herself as a fundraising consultant, AI ops strategist, professional speaker, focus on empowering development officers to enhance their fundraising capabilities without relying on years of trial and error. Like, I mean, it's like, this is really good here, and it's nailing. I mean, and you tell me, is this a pretty good bio?
This is,
Yeah.
This is exactly, if I were going to go meet, okay, so I'm trying, if someone was coming to meet with me and hadn't met me before, these are some really important things to know about me. And you can imagine how, if you were hoping to pitch to me that I would join your board, now you know the following things about me, and you can ask ChatGPT or whatever, you're using, what are some of the questions that Ann is probably going to have about our overture to join our board? And it will know from my bio and from this information that it has scraped what my questions will be. And by the way, it's always so accurate. It's crazy. And then it'll tell you how to overcome those objections. So like, this is taking it a step beyond the typical Tyler that we would do. Is like, we would get a briefing. It would be 2 pages, double spaced, half of it is, where is the meeting, right? Here we've got stuff that really matters. We could also pull in other information, right, from other places, like using anyway, thorough research done in a snap is what we're getting at here, and the pain point that we have solved.
Yeah, because like we did this because I was looking to try and do Mackenzie Scott's foundation, but we could not find, like, I don't know that she has a LinkedIn profile, or we couldn't.
I don't think she does. I thought she did, but can't find it.
So like we called the audible, like literally at the beginning of this call, and I did that quickly for Ann. So
no.
I mean, it's just that's the point that you were making too, of that, everyone's busy, and that's where this stuff really obviously we would have this set up on automation for people we would do this for, so it would just be in their inbox the day of or the week of or however they want it to be.
Yep.
But if you're in a pinch, someone books last minute and you need to do it like right now, and you don't have time to go to all the Googles, well, that's where we got you, because like these AI assistants are amazing at what they can do.
And one of the biggest pain points, and you guys have heard me talk, but am I laggy, by the way?
A little bit. Yeah, I didn't know if it was you or me.
Yeah.
Let me go off camera. Oh, good. I got an upgrade. So one of the pain points that this research piece solves is there's a lot of drama that actually goes on around briefings in nonprofits. The information that we gather, how perfect it is, who all has had input into it, and then do we even have a prospect research, staff member? So here's where all staff can take matters into their own hands and just do a quick and dirty lookup that's going to give you, really, let's be honest, everything you need to know to do a really good job in that donor visit. And you haven't had to submit a request for somebody to write a briefing, and then you haven't had to have it approved by 10 different layers. And you end up with a workflow that you really love that takes, a few minutes instead of, you guys know, like those out there, they know, like with briefings, you could spend weeks on it, and it's only different, not better at the end. So anyway, so I love this tool.
And it can find like really, really niche information. Like we ran this before with a client that we worked with, and we wanted to find quotable moments from that person that we were going to speak to. And it found a speech that they gave at an inauguration event that was on YouTube, ran the transcript of that, found like what was a good quotable moment, and pulled that back. So like, that's where you can, like, depending on what you want or what you like to have in your briefing documents, like it can probably go find it. If it's out there, it can find it.
A quotable moment for a newsletter article without having, like, you can then write the quote based on what they've already said and get approval, rather than sending them something made up and hoping they sign off on it, or worse yet, asking them to send you a quote, which never happens. So good. So good. Josh, how about productivity stuff?
Yeah. So you did the donor meeting, you prepared really well with the solution, and you got to be present at the entire meeting and focused on the conversation at hand, because you didn't have to worry about all of the administrative things that you're going to follow up with. That's the use case I'm talking about. And to Greg, to your point, absolutely, commercial market applications. Yeah, we play on both sides of the field. So we did the meeting. I'm going to highlight a different tool. So let me pull up my screen share. And you got to make sure that you do the right follow up. You have a step of a process that you want to highlight, or that we're going to highlight, but you want to run through the process yourself every time you have these meetings, so that your team is in the loop. What was discussed? What sort of action items are going to be up next? What sort of follow-up communications do we need to send back to the client? What sort of follow-up communications need to go out to the rest of the team? And what sort of project management tasking could be assigned inside of the system? So what I'm going to show here, this is Respell, is a workflow that takes a meeting and the conversation that was had, and a couple of details about the meeting. So we have this set up so that you can run it automatically. And we have it also set up so that you can run this manually. The goal is so that the person who attended the meeting, did the work, could add their 2 cents and record a separate audio file for the rest of the team in the context they're in. Combine all of those inputs and then run this automation through its path. So I'm going to zoom in so that everybody can see kind of the progression, and we'll have a few different inputs and outputs to highlight. So one of the first things that happens that we do pretty much at every call now is we'll record the call. This is so good in so many ways because it allows us to be present. It allows us to lean on technology to take care of some of these really administrative meeting moments. And there's a lot of really good AI assistant tools out there that will help organize the meeting information in a way that's really easy to work with after the fact. So you have the meeting, you have a transcript from the meeting, you drop it into the Hopper, and or this runs automatically. Like we normally connect this just to automatically pipe in and start the process. So we have a few different inputs that are going to feed this machine. 1, transcript. 2, voice memo. And then we just set it up so that there's an easy way to indicate who on the team is going to be doing the follow-up, or who is going to be follow-up to as well. So we have a series of prompts that then start getting organized. So the first thing this is going to do after the meeting is over is give the summary out to the team. And this can be distributed wherever we want because we kind of just automate whoever needs to be in the know. Sometimes it's an email follow-up just saying, hey, here are the high points of the meeting. Sometimes we configure this to be a Slack message that goes straight to somebody's DMs. Hey, just so you know, the meeting went well. Here's what we talked about, and so on and so forth. So we configure this to put the information wherever it should go to the team. Based off another input of when the meeting happened would determine what sort of project management needs to happen next. So that would also get us a scheduled follow-up email in the works automatically. So once we have all of this coming through the pipeline, a follow-up email is going to be drafted to check back in with the donor and their team to summarize the meeting, once again, to share any ideas, insights, or notes. But this follow-up email is going to be sent to the team first to continue to work on. So we're going to draft a version of it, and then it's going to go to the team to make sure that they can add their 2 cents and that anything else that needs to be included or edited is taken care of. And the way that this email is going to be drafted is it's going to be drafted in the voice and tone of the team. So you will have the model that automatically is utilizing their brand guidelines. It's automatically talking like them. It's writing like them, so that this comm is as close to ready as possible. And we always recommend keeping the human in the loop to make sure that all the communications that are customer facing and donor facing, in this case with nonprofits, would be perfectly aligned with the brand. And then the last thing is there's going to be an action item checklist that gets distributed amongst the team. So to make that happen, follow-up checklist is going to be taken from the transcript and the conversation to make sure that everybody that needs to take action can get into the loop. So if this is a project manager, they're going to receive this checklist and then they project manage within the tool. If this needs to pipe straight into a productivity tool like a Notion or a ClickUp or a Trello board, this is where those checklist items would start to drop for project management to occur next. So you take the meeting, you summarize everything, you follow up with the right people, you get the team activated, and you don't have to worry about all of that while you're sitting there having the conversation with the donor. So this, and we kind of talked through this a number of times, but this whole process is designed to just save the energy and the time, but the energy that it takes to follow up. You have, say you had 2 donor meetings in the same, time block.
Yeah.
If it's a 4-hour task to get all this done, or it used to be a 2-hour task, whatever the number is, you don't have that happening anymore. And that's just a huge lift. So
what I love about this particular solution, and Josh, can you show how it looks on the user end, that it's just, we don't even, all of this stuff happens magically behind the screen. But what I love about this use case is that it doesn't actually change the people, process, and culture. It doesn't require a whole change management ordeal. It's literally taking one person's workflow and taking it from, a multi-step, really thoughtful, it takes a lot of thinking and potentially overthinking to write a really good contact report. It takes a lot of thought to develop a really good follow-up email, right? You want it to be perfect. And lots of us get stuck at that place of the contact report is going to live forever, and we want it to look like Shakespearean, right? We don't want our successors to look at our contact reports and go, oh my goodness, what was this clown doing? We want to be the consummate professional. So in this case, we develop a prompt, we develop a, part of the workflow that ensures that the contact report is perfect. It includes everything that needs to be included so that you and your colleagues can work together seamlessly. It's going to include what plan giving needs to know. It's going to include what the events team needs to know, the prospect research people. It's going to include the assets that you discussed, the timeline for potentially making a gift, the questions, the objections. It's a perfect contact report, and you don't have to do anything. Then that turns into the email follow-up that you're going to send. And it took me 25 years, but I finally came up with the most effective email follow-up format. And when I use this, I don't forget what my perfect email follow-up thing that I told myself is, the best. And then my to-do list. So my clients have said that, just like me, I sometimes have to check, am I insane, or does this really take 45 minutes to an hour and 15? And everybody's like, yeah. Now, even doing it a little bit, a fair amount actually of human in the loop. We talk in the loop. So I want to spend some time, editing the contact report and editing the email. It's still 12 minutes, 15 minutes instead of 45 minutes or an hour and 15. So, and see how easy it will be to enter that information into the system. Super easy. And when you worry about confidentiality and data security, one of the things that I do is I use, after a meeting, let's assume it's not recorded in this case, I just talk into my phone to get the transcription of what happened. And I just use fake names. I always use everything related to Disneyland. So Minnie, Mickey, Disneyland, Enterprises, whatever. And then later on the back end, I search and replace for the donors' names. Anyway.
Yeah, and we can even build that into the workflow too, so that it removes the PII without you doing that. And then so this also Josh is showing the manual process of how this could be uploaded, but just like you were saying, Josh, this can connect into your existing system. So if you guys use Notion or HubSpot, or you're a Google organization, whatever that looks like, it can connect into that to pull the info it needs to in from it, and then place the email draft back out if you would prefer to work on it in, let's say, Gmail, or if you wanted to show up in your Slack or wherever. It's just, yeah, it is so good. And the voice memo part that's chef's kiss on this stuff, because so many of these meetings, they don't happen like this in Zoom. They happen in person, and you're not going to be recording them. So to be able to still stay present, but then come out afterwards and just brain dump quickly. Yeah, it's huge.
You don't even have to make any sense whatsoever in your voice memo. It's not like writing. You just blah, you say all the things, and then AI will make it make sense for you. So you can include everything in the order that it pops into your brain, which is such a gift to not have to turn something that's non-linear into something that's linear when you're writing. So these were like two like really big examples of how we attacked some of the pain points or opportunities. Like one is that research in preparation for a meeting, and then the other is, a donor meeting follow-up workflow that allows you to get, here's the name of the game, right? We have momentum that's created during all of the run-up to the meeting, during that meeting, and then our goal is to continue that momentum to trigger action by the donor, right? When we let it go a little bit cold because we've got all these different action items and all of these like things we have to think through, and we want the contact report to be perfect and blah, 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 a few days go by, right? A week goes by, and now you're following up and they're like, was our conversation important to Anne or not? I'm not entirely sure because it took her 10 days to follow up with me, which is standard. So this allows us to just keep that feeling of connection and humanity going so much more seamlessly, and it equals more money for the donor, for the nonprofit. Like a lot of these things, I've tested it in my business, I've tested it with clients. There are certain things that just equal more money, and this is one of them.
There you have it.
More money.
Where's your mic drop?
more money for nonprofits with less work. What is not to like about that? So there are, we have a few other examples of the things that we have found to be the most, like the highest ROI and the least work for nonprofits to include in their workflows that are like driven by AI and automation. And we would love to share those someday. So if any of this sounds interesting, just reach out to us. We're on LinkedIn all the time. Lightmagic.ai is our website. We're live on Wednesdays. We share applied tools on Thursdays generally. Is that where we're? Yep. And we're around on TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube. So please do find us, reach out to us anytime. We would be delighted to help people make life a little bit easier. That would be fantastic. Tyler and Josh, do you have any mic drops?
It's hard to follow that. It's awesome. It's just like we've found so much value in using these tools ourselves, and then to be able to like tailor them and share them for nonprofits, that is like a really it's a big ethos thing for us of being able to like do good with this stuff and like be the light in AI in this world. And like, so I love doing this and love building these out for all the folks who are watching this, that they're out there running nonprofits and doing all that sort of stuff. So it's amazing. So yeah, if you guys have questions, reach out.
Tyler, one quick question. Can you share what it looks like when we start working with a client on potential AI solutions like this? Like, what's their experience like? How do they get connected? Like once they reach out to us, what happens?
Well, once they reach out, if it's just like a cold call, basically, like we'll have a discovery call with them to kind of go through, see what they're looking for, find out what they love about what they're doing really well, what they absolutely hate, or what they want to be able to do. Because like we say that, if you can dream it, we can build it, which is pretty much true. I don't think that we've run into too much yet that Josh and I have been able to whip up and make this stuff do. So it's that. And then we generally will like help people or steer them towards like the strategic intensive, which is where it's like a questionnaire process. We identify like different use cases that are easy, tangible, practical ways to incorporate AI into your business that give really big impact and wins on the other side of it. That's really affordable. I believe it's, where are we at? $1,400-$1,500, I think, for that. And it's a 1 hour consult. It comes with a chat bot that trains you, or that has all the information that we've talked about, all the meeting transcripts, best practices, all that sort of stuff in it. And then once we've like we know your business more, you have a better sense of what we're able to do. That's when we start either looking to have the build or buy conversation to recommend tools or apps, do something custom, or hook you up with a nonprofit bundle if you're a nonprofit. So like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is these tools that we were building custom, but are now just we're trying to make them an off the shelf type product.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. So it's easy and accessible to everybody. It's a painless process. Josh, how about you? Any words?
Final thoughts? Yeah, I think it's just so important for the brand. Like it's like the brand. You're reinforcing the brand with every touch point. It's everything you say. It's everything you do. It's everything you don't say. It's everything you don't do. And if you're in the nonprofit space and you're not doing these things, you're missing the opportunity to build the relationships with your donors.
Yeah.
And you're probably stressing the hell out of your staff.
Yeah.
Both of those things are bad. So that's why we care about this stuff. It really does matter. If you lose a staff member and now you're not able to give the high touch point, you're not able to build those relationships with your donors at the same level, problems start. And so we're trying to get to the source of these pain points, the source of the problems that you're experiencing in your company, in your organization. So that would be my that's my 2 cents. Just it's all about the people.
So just reach out to us. In summary, we'll help. Thank you, you two. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, have a great rest of the week for those on the live. Talk to you soon.
Valentine's Day.
Bye. Valentine's Day.